Oasis Audio presents This Is My Body by Ragan Sutterfield, read for you by Dean Gallagher. Witness. Can I get a witness? This common call of spirit-filled pastors, so often parodied, is in fact a call to something good and true and necessary. As human beings, we can't find truth on our own. We need the experiences of others to help us find our meaning. Those of us who have discovered something good in all the confusion of the world need to testify to the ways in which our lives have found their fullness. This book is my witness, my testimony, of how I finally experienced God not as some disembodied spirit in a faraway heaven, but in the very echo of my flesh. We live in a time in which we are barraged with a multitude of messages about what our bodies should look like, what purposes they should serve, and what bearing they should have on our minds and spirits. As a result, most of us have assembled troubled images in our heads of what it means to have a good body. We've been told that a good body is one that produces all the right numbers, blood pressure, cholesterol, body mass index, and has all the right dimensions, though definitions of what's right vary depending on whom you ask. We've been sold a standard that's delivered via the grocery store magazine rack. A good body is sexy and it is lean, we're told. It is never weak, disordered, diseased, or broken. The cacophony of opinions about what our bodies should be is so loud it's hard to listen for the voices that matter. Many of us are tempted, as I was, to just forget it all and let our bodies give in to one addiction or another. Others of us strive to perfect our bodies, obsessing over every muscle curve and wrinkle in our skin. I've done that too. Don't be vain. Don't be a glutton. It's just a shell. Religious teachers rarely help us through the mess. Their own messages represent a confusing range of contradictions. Few of them tell us that our bodies are good and glorious. The body, for most, is a burden, a weight that can drag us down toward a host of sins, a shell we will cast off when we can finally live as spirits in a faraway heaven. I heard and lived all these messages, but God whispered to me another word. Through love and prayer and running long miles, I discovered something else about my body. It is a gift, a sign of God's love in the world. Yours is too. Whatever your shape and whatever struggles you've had with your body, these facts are true right now, not at some point down the road when heavenly perfection will be achieved. Can I get a witness, the preacher calls? Here I go. 20 weeks to Ironman. After midnight, Ouachita National Forest. I'm just past the 26.2-mile marathon mark, and I still have another 4.5 miles until the finish. It's around 1:30 a.m., and I've been running for over 5 hours up and down the gravel service roads of the Ouachita National Forest in western Arkansas. There's no moon. The sky is overcast. I wish I'd spent more time searching for my good headlamp because the spare I brought is going dim, making only one small circle of light in the darkness. They say that copperhead snakes like to spread out on these roads at night, seeking warmth for their cold blood from the sun-baked rocks and gravel. Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on me, a sinner. The Jesus prayer, treasured in the Eastern Orthodox tradition, comes to mind whenever I run long, and now in the dark it takes on special meaning. A 19th century book, The Way of a Pilgrim, recounts the journey of a simple Russian monk who learned to internalize this prayer so that it ran continuously in his mind in the background of every thought. J.D. Salinger set the prayer at the center of his novel Franny and Zoe, with Franny proclaiming the prayer to be a way to see God. Eastern Orthodox monks pray it in the rhythm of their breath, inhaling, "Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God," and exhaling, "Have mercy on me, a sinner." This works better in the Greek and Russian languages with their shorter sentence constructions than it does in English. When I run, I whisper the prayer with my breath. Lord Jesus Christ, I inhale. Have mercy, I exhale. Early in this Ouachita forest run, my mind raced through random thoughts. I prayed for the people in my life. I watched the sunset. But now I am in complete darkness, alone, with music on my headphones and prayers for mercy on my lips. This is not my first 50K trail run. I ran one earlier in the year in the Ozark Mountains. That run was difficult, to be sure, up and down steep mountains on mostly single-track trails. But there I ran in daylight, and I could see other runners all around. It was a beautiful place full of mountain wonder. Now I am by myself. I see a headlight bobbing here and there, ahead and behind me, but I feel alone. I'm reminded of the times I've been in caves, unable to tell whether it's day or night, my senses deprived by the darkness. Yet I also feel a kind of purity. The everyday world is gone, and I am somehow suspended in a space that is both physically raw and spiritual. Every breath and every thought in my being seems present in each effort to move a foot forward. I have to bring everything to the work of moving my body, and with the conscious contraction of each muscle, it is as though my whole self suddenly becomes clear to me as I push toward the finish. I am neither body nor mind. I am simply I in my entirety. They say Plato was a runner, but I doubt he went for distance. If he had, he could have never thought the soul and body separate. My legs are past tired, but it doesn't matter. There's a phrase ultra runners use to get them past the marathon mark, past the point at which a run becomes an ultra. Perpetual forward motion, they say, to move forward those final miles. Sprinters don't say it, neither do runners of 5K or 10Ks. These runners never get to the kind of exhausted crisis that calls for this mantra. Perpetual forward motion comes to mind around the 26-mile point on longer distance runs, like this ultramarathon, for even the most accomplished runners. Perpetual forward motion is a principle that distinguishes endurance sports from every other work of athleticism. There is tremendous focus in weightlifting in which the body, mind, and soul come into alignment. A game of soccer can remind one of the power of the flesh. Baseball can call the body into great precision, and throwing and catching the irrationally oblong football requires an incredible integration of physical and mental quickness. But it is only in endurance sports, such as distance running, marathon swimming, the Ironman triathlon, and Nordic skiing, that the body is called into a continuous exertion that requires one to completely let go and release everything to forward motion, or else to lie down on the side of the road and wait for the sag wagon truck to come pick up the athletes who can't make it to the course's end. In this Arkansas night, perpetual forward motion comes to me just after the last aid station, an oasis of light in the formless void of night. The station stands just before the last 7-mile stretch, floodlights in the woods illuminating tables stacked with peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, pickles, pretzels, gummy bears, Gatorade, soda, and water. It's strange that I want to eat after running for 5 hours. I cram down pretzels and half a PB&J. I wash them down with flat Mountain Dew and start back on the road. A few yards down, I come across another runner who is bent over, throwing up, a casualty to the tricky challenge of eating enough to stay fueled on the trail, but not so much that the stomach rebels. After the aid station, there is just darkness and my personal circle of light. Perpetual forward motion. I keep my eyes out for glow sticks tied to trees and bushes, the markers for the right road. I spot one up ahead just as I see another runner heading off in the wrong direction. I yell and watch his headlamp turn as he corrects his route. That could have been bad. That could have been me. Perpetual forward motion. Lord Jesus Christ, have mercy on me, a sinner, I pray, as Nirvana's Scentless Apprentice blares through my headphones. With only 5K left to go, I start to pass runners who are now walking. I want to stop with them. My pace is now barely a run. We've gone 28 miles, yet it's here that I want to stop, the flow of my legs giving way to an unbearable heaviness. I suddenly realize that it's almost 2 a.m., and I usually go to sleep at 9 p.m. Why am I in the woods? Why am I doing this? A woman twice my age wearing a big pink visor runs up beside me. "I've run over 20 of these," she calls. "You just have to keep running." Perpetual forward motion. Just around a bend in the road, we come upon another runner. I recognize him as a guy who humiliated me at my local running club sprint workout a few weeks earlier. Back then, he lapped me on the track as I ran 800-meter repeats. Now he sits on the side of a dirt road with his head in his hands. The woman with the visor stops. "Come on," she says. "You've got to keep going." I just need a minute." He waves us away. I look at my Garmin GPS watch. 2 miles to go. I lean my body forward and focus all my remaining will, every atom of energy I can summon in my body, on lifting my feet off the ground. It's time for gravity to do its work. My legs just have to catch my fall. Lift, fall, catch. Lift, fall, catch. Perpetual forward motion. At half a mile to go, we hit the pavement that leads into the Forest Service recreation area where the finish line awaits. I pick up the pace. I give everything I have to the effort of reaching that light up ahead. Forward motion, forward motion, forward motion. Other runners are gathered, cheering us on as we stumble in. I run with all the remaining strength I can muster. There are volunteers at the finish line to catch us as we stop if needed, and many runners do collapse when the forward motion finally ceases. My legs feel wobbly, but I manage to limp over to a bench. My head is spinning. I reach down to my shoes and realize they are full of sweat, little puddles in the bottom soaking into the insoles. I stare at the post-race food table and I am suddenly hungry in a fierce way. I manage to stagger to the line, quickly devour a hot dog and gulp down Coke. My body has been to the edge of its possibility. I hurt. I am exhausted. But I also feel like my body has begun to tap into a purpose and reality I could never find in an office chair or even in a jog around the block. My legs are chafed and heavy with lactic acid. My muscles cramping. I climb into the back of a friend's car for the ride home. In a few months, I'll begin a similar endurance race. But at that race, I'll have swum 2.4 miles and biked 112 miles before even starting the marathon. In a few months, I'll attempt to be more than an ultra runner who can run more than 31 miles in one stretch. I'll try to become an Ironman.